good morning, good afternoon. I don't know what time it is right now, based on the time you're watching this video. I am Zaga Jane, a 2021 Chevening Scholar. I'll be having my Master's in Energy Management at Robert Gordon University. So in this video, I'll be sharing tips and guidelines on how I wrote my Chevening Networking essay question, how I answered that question, and how it was part of the things that got me the Chevening Scholarship. So first of all, there is a disclaimer here that I want to put out that these are my views only and not the views of the Chevening Secretariat. It's just me sharing my views and things I think helps me get the scholarship and things I think helps me get my essays right. How I was able to write my scholarship essays and how it got me the scholarship. So I was talking about the networking essay in this video. I have done other videos about the other four essays, and you can find the links to those videos in the description box. So let me first of all start by reading the question, the Chevening networking essay question, and it says, Chevening is looking for individuals with strong professional relationship building skills who will engage with the Chevening community and influence and lead others in their chosen profession. Please explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity, using clear examples of how you currently do this, and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. Minimum word count is 100 words, and maximum word count is 500 words. So now, they said using clear examples of how you currently do this. It's not about you going to define what networking is. I believe the panel already knows what networking is, and you have just 500 words to make your point. So in these essays you're writing, the word count is very important. Although I would advise that when writing your essays, you should just write your essays all through, and then just don't put the word count in your mind when you're writing at the first time or at the initial stage. If not, you might get it all mixed up. Just write your essays and then start reducing it and try to meet and get to the word count for the essays. So the Chevening Secretariat or the Chevening Scholarship is for people that have leadership and influencing skills, and people that can network or have networked or know how to network, and those that have know where they want to go, to the course they want to study, and people with clear career plans and career goals. So the networking essay is also very important because Chevening has this very large alumni, this network, and they want to know how you've been able to build relationships in the past, and so that when you get the scholarship, you can also further build relationship with fellow scholars and with the alumni network that would help to impact your country. So the first one, like I said, you need to give examples, clear examples, just like you did in your leadership essay, like I said in the leadership video. Outline all the times you've used the network. Just think about how do you build networks, how do you get your networks, when have you been able to use your network to maybe solve a problem for the people or for yourself, or how were you able to even solve the problem of that your network. So you should have these things all written down. Just put down scenarios. So you need to take out time to think, because if you don't think and you start writing, you might miss up some things, or you won't get the very important things in your essays. So think about different situations where you build network, how you've maintained relationships, and write it down. Now, for your examples, I won't advise you to just give one networking example. I would advise you to give a minimum of 3, at most 4. If it's more than 4, you might just end up touching and you won't really give details in your essays yeah. So now I'll talk about the approach you should use. Just like leadership essays, you should use the STAR approach when writing your networking essay, because it will help your work to be concise and to be easy to understand and see the impact, or to see the story you're telling. So tell stories. In defining networking in my own first paragraph, I did not just define what networking is. I just gave a simple scenario of a time of what networking is. So I just shared the story, very short story. I talked about my final year when I used to go to the library, and then there used to be this queue, because during the exam period the library is always full. So most times they want to check the library ID card, and then there's a long queue, and so it's frustrating most times. I'll spend time or used to be productive on the queue. So what happened was I just spoke with the security personnel one day. I greeted him, asked him his name, and then told him my name, and then we exchanged, just talked about, just introduced ourselves, and I went in. So the next time I got to the library, I did not need to join the queue. I just called him by his name and waved, he smiled, and he allowed me to enter. So after giving this example, and I said in my essay that although this is an informal method of networking, or an informal benefit of networking, there are so many other benefits that come with building strong professional relationships, and have so many benefits. So now, the thing with Chevening is, it's not about you just building networks or having networks. How were you able to maintain that network? So the thing is, first of all, how do you build networks? What kind of networks do you have? How have you used the network to solve a problem? How do you maintain that relationship you built? And one thing about networking I always say is, networking shouldn't be a one-way thing where you just gain. How have you also given back to your network? So I had some examples. I don't know if I missed it up, because I know in my interview I used, I didn't use all the examples I used in my essays or my interview. I added some more recent examples when I was having the interview. So I gave an example of an incident we had in my hostel then. It was just a very minor fire outbreak, and then it was just there, we couldn't do anything. And we had extinguishers in the hostel. None of us could use it until we had security and the porters coming to help put out the fire. And people were just jokingly saying, all these engineering girls, nothing come out, like, I'm just using the Nigerian slang, nothing come out, and just to study engineering, common extinguisher, none of you can use, and just stuff like that. So that hits me somehow in my head. I'm like, it's even true. How will I be an engineering student in my fourth year? I think, how my fourth year, so, and I cannot use a fire extinguisher. So then I remember that I had volunteered for NSC one time. We had a courtesy visit at the training institute, check-ins, and I had networks from that place. So I reached out to the networks. I sent them an email, and I was able to fix a meeting with them, and then I discussed this scenario in my hostel, and I would love to have a training for female engineering students, so we'll know how to use fire extinguishers, so that in our different hostels we will be able to fight fire in case there is a minor fire outbreak that we can fight. And they were very happy and open. So they called us and they offered free fire and fighting training for the students, and we're taught how to use fire extinguishers to fight simple fires. So you will see from this example, it's very clear. I had a situation. What was the situation? The fire outbreak, and the fact that none of us could use extinguishers. What was the task? Looking for a way to prevent this from happening again. What was the action? I reached out to my network and from that training institute, and then they offered free firefighting for the students. And what was the result? We were trained on how to fight fire to prevent recurrence. So now, when giving your networking examples, if the person you're talking about is prominent, someone that they could easily search out online, please put the person's name, put the name of that company, put the name of that event you attended, to help make your work to be real, to bring life to your work, to make your work authentic. So put those names, put those things down there when calling those names. So that was one of the examples I gave in my networking essay. And another example I gave was the fact that, talking about how I build networks, I mentioned the fact that I volunteer a lot for professional bodies in my field and non-governmental organizations. I mentioned some professional bodies I volunteer in or I used to volunteer, I currently volunteer as a student. I talked about the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Association of Professional Managers of Nigeria. I talked about all of them. And one thing I do and how I build network is by attending their monthly technical meetings and trying to volunteer and help out whenever they needed my help, or they needed volunteers for an event or something. So that's one way I build networks. I talked about, now, another way again I talked about was social media. So now, I talked about my NYSC, yes, my NYSC then, because I applied to my service year last year, and how I was looking for a job. So, then the pandemic happened. Most of the contacts I had I had hopes of working in that firm or stuff, it didn't work out. Most of them were on lockdown. So it was difficult getting a slot for my internship, for my NYSC. So what I did was that I had to improvise. I used LinkedIn. I had to use social media. So talking about social media, there's another way I network, or I build network. So that's another method. One moment if you check from my first instance, I talked about the fact that I volunteered at that place and I got networks. Another method I talked about was attending these professional bodies, their meetings, and interacting with them. Another method I talked about now is social media, how I use LinkedIn. So I talked about the fact that I reached out to people on LinkedIn to try to get a job and stuff like that. So I reached out to somebody. I don't call his name. He was like the CEO of a company, of an engineering firm that I wanted to work with. And then he was able to get into the interview, and I did an interview with the panel. I wrote some exams, although I did not get that job. I think I was disqualified at some point. I did not get that job. I now further stated that the fact that I didn't get that job did not stop me from maintaining that relationship. I still kept that contact. I still maintained that relationship with that person. And subsequently, his company had a project they were trying to work on. They were about to do a research in something in a field, in something that was kind of in my area of interest. So because this person knew I was passionate about this area, he asked me if I would like to join the team for that project. And I was happy because I wanted to learn. I wanted to also learn in the process. And he linked me up with the team, and the team lead was even, she's in the UK, she's in her PhD in the UK. I talked about the school, like I even mentioned the school where she was in, where she was studying in. So somehow I worked on this project, and that was it. So I talked about, now in this example, I was trying to explain that I don't just build networks and after getting what I want to get from them, that's it. Or if I don't get what I want to get, that's the end of that relationship. You should show that you are able to maintain relationships. You don't just build relationships and just keep them like that. You're able to maintain this relationship with these people. Now, about talking about your networks, you should talk about how that network has helped in your personal career advancement or growth, or how that network has helped you solve a problem or solve or achieve a goal, something like that. I talked about the fact that when I was in my final year in research, I needed data and I was confused at some point, but I attended one of the exhibitions organized by the Society of Petroleum Engineers, and one company there, Schlumberger. I was able to talk to them about the work I was doing, and somehow I got a contact there that gave me industry insight on how I could apply the work I was doing to what's happening in the industry, and that was how I just got breakthrough in my project. So I talked about that in my work. So you could talk about that network, how that network has helped to improve you personally, or how that network has helped to solve a problem. Probably in your leadership experience, there are times when your team was working on something and you had to reach out to somebody to help your team achieve that goal. You can include that. That's just what networking is all about. You don't need to go and start defining networking. Just show them. Like I said in the leadership essay, do less of telling and do more of showing. Show them. You should see these things. Use clear examples. I won't talk about the slot I actually got for my internship, for my NYC then. It was through networking. It was an event I attended that I met with the person that linked me up with that company. I did the interview and I passed and I got my first job, like in that company. That was after NYC, or I got my first post NYC job then. So you should talk about how networks have helped you. If you can see my examples are clear. I talked about the first time how a network helped me to solve a problem in my school that wasn't just particular to me alone, but that was there for the general growth and well-being of people. That was the fire incident. I talked about how a mentor helped me personally by helping me to get a job. I talked about how how networking has helped my career advancement, my final year project, how I was able to get industry insights through networking at a conference. I also talked about, so just have different examples, how I use social media to build networks. So there are different ways of building networks. You should state that if you're very popular on social media, maybe you have an Instagram page that talk about something, or you just do something, maybe you have a YouTube channel, for instance, that you used to reach out to people, or anything you do that you use that requires you meeting with people and sharing knowledge. You should talk about that in your essay. Now, one other very important thing is that you should not forget to talk about the Chevening Alumni Network. Hey, it's very important. They want to be sure that you know that this large network is there. So I talked about the fact that I would love to, as a Chevening scholar, I would have the opportunity to relate with other world leaders or upcoming world leaders in the Chevening community, where I can share ideas, build networks that I could use to solve my problems in my own country, the area of the problem I want to solve in Nigeria. So now, I haven't mentioned, because I did my research very well. That's why I said researching is very important. I went to the Chevening website and I checked some activities they organize. I talked about some of those activities they organize that help scholars to network and stuff like that. I talked about that. I want to talk about the Chevening conference they have every year. How in my time I would like to present a paper if possible, so that when I present that paper in my field, it will give me an opportunity to meet with scholars from different countries that have similar interests with me, so we can all work together and form a team to solve the problem or the focal point of our problem, or just find something that we work together with. You should know that you are passionate about networking with the Chevening community, not the fact that once they give you the scholarship and then you've done, you just forget about the whole Chevening community. You should know that you have this passion to build and maintain relationships. So like I said before, always read your essays, proofread it, like read it over, edit, give someone else to read your work. After you have your first drafts, go back, give someone to read, correct. I know how many drafts of in fact I lost count of how many times I edited my essays in my own time. If you know a scholar that can help you review your essays too, you can still give the person. If you can't reach a scholar, you could also give someone else, maybe your boss, no, not your boss, maybe your colleague or someone else that will just critically analyze. I'm not saying you can give your friend or just someone that won't give you proper criticism, that will just be like, hey, you finish work, even if you didn't write anything. Give someone that would actually look at it well and make corrections if there is need for corrections. So please believe in yourself, don't feel discouraged. Initially I was discouraged in applying. I did not want to apply at first because I felt I might not get the scholarship. So if you feel that way, just learn from my own experience. I did not want to apply initially because I felt the competition was so much, and I had seen so many things that other scholars had done. But yeah, I was chosen for Chevening. So in the same way, just do your research. Do your research very well to help you. I know I lost count of the amount of YouTube videos I watched about the Chevening Scholarship. Yes, it helps me. So if you're watching this video, you're doing the right thing right now by researching. There are loads and loads of videos that other scholars have done. I will tell you about some channels I watched. I need to go talk about them. The AFM Stories. Just go to YouTube and search AFM Stories. I watched her videos a lot. Her videos helped me. Kuseme is couscous. Yeah, I watched her videos too when I was applying. And those videos really helped guide me in my application. So aside from this video you're watching, go out there. There are other scholars. By the time you get different reviews from different scholars, it will help put your head straight and you think better in your own application. So do your research, research your schools, go to the internet, check your school's website, check the Chevening website, comb through that website, use the STAR approach, and I wish you good luck in your application. If I missed, and if you have any question about this whole thing, about the essays or the application process, please put it in the comment section so that if there is a need, I'll make another video and answer all your questions. So check the description box for the other links to the other videos, the other scholarship questions, and have a wonderful time. See you next time. And please, if you know you learned something from this video, you can do well to like this video and subscribe to this channel, because I'll keep dropping updates about the application process subsequently. So have a nice time and bye.